We got your funk covered. That's right, Steve Cochran Show. And our friend David Kerley is standing by. Kerley from Full Throttle, the newsletter. If it moves, he's covering it. How do we get it, David Kerley?
It's pretty simple, Steve. If you can spell Kerley right, it's David, Kerley, one word, .substack.com.
Substack, S-U-B-S-T-A-C-K. That's one word. David
Yeah,
Kerley.
that's good spelling, yeah. Very good.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm not just a pretty face. And we heard a rumor, if you will. There's been lots of alien talk in the last 12 months.
I love talking about rumors.
And this rumor is that NASA is going to announce they found alien life. And they're going to do it this week. What do you know?
I know that they have, with the James Webb Telescope, which we've talked about before, this amazing telescope that's seeing remarkable things, they have found a planet way out there. I mean, it's really far out there that potentially has some elements in an atmosphere and maybe an ocean, which means maybe it has life. But NASA is saying, as of today, as of this hour, they say, has not found definitive evidence of life on an exoplanet. But that doesn't mean they're not still looking and that there are signs that this planet called K2-18b, which is way bigger than Earth, has some interesting possibilities.
So a couple of follow-ups, if you will. How do we know if anything's happening there? We mail them a letter or something, say, hey, you left there. We check for a Starbucks. How do we know?
Yeah, and by the way, life may not be humanoid as you know it. You know, we could be talking amoebas or, anything else, possibly.
And for the sake of the conversation, shouldn't we limit life to, a couple of arms, couple of legs, and the ability to communicate?
Well, if you watch any science fiction show, it's pretty close to it, isn't it? You just sometimes have to have the translator, right?
Yeah.
I got to tell you, the astrophysicist who's talking for NASA, who's doing a lot of the studying, her name is Dr. Nicole Colon, is a huge science fiction fan. In fact, that's how she got into this. And she's the one who says, listen, we need more studies. Here's what James Webb does. It looks at light. And light continues traveling for billions of years. So it is able to see changes in the light that can indicate there are certain chemicals and properties on a planet. And so what they have seen on K2-18b are the possibilities that there are things like hydrogen and carbon, and they found, they think, dimethyl sulfide, DMS, which is a byproduct of life. Now, the problem is, and they like to say, listen, when we're looking at this light, a change could be like 0.01% change. I mean, it's so small, it's so far away. That's why they're not saying, listen, this is definitely life on another planet. But there are signs that we want to study further with Webb. And leading to your rumor of will they announce something, the question is, have they found something else with Webb that solidifies some of these early indications, biosignatures they call them, on this far distant planet?
David, this is a very broad question, but how do they discover life? You're referring to Webb, the telescope, and is it just kind of set up, and if there's a movement or a light or a gas or something, it pings? I mean, because...
Yeah, they pointed at something, so they pointed it at this planet, and then they can... Just studying the light. We've seen these beautiful pictures with the reds and the blues, and those are all put in by the scientists. I mean, that's not what we're actually seeing. Mm-hmm. You're not seeing that with your naked eye. Those are basically facsimiles of what they think it looks like. So it's by measuring the amount of light that indicates whether or not you have carbon, whether you have hydrogen, whether you have these other elements that can lead to life. Finding DMS, and listen, I don't think they're
DMS
sure on
a rapper. Am I wrong about that?
If you're from planet K2-18b,
kind of sounds like it, right?
Yeah. Doesn't roll off the tongue as easy as like Earth.
So there is a plan, and there is a process, and there is a template to do this. However, it doesn't explain what happened to Miami. Let's go live to reporter Joey. Joey, live from Miami. What did you find?
So, Steve, out here, we heard there was a sighting of 10-foot-tall gray aliens at the Miami Mall with a massive police presence that was told to be there for fighting amongst teenagers.
And this was within the last 2 weeks?
Yeah.
David Kerley, your thoughts on the Miami Mall aliens?
Yeah, I'm waiting to see him. I'd like to see him with my own eyes.
You've been listening to a full scientific breakdown of the aliens found at the Miami Mall. Look, why do we care so much about this? Is it the movie stuff? Is it the fascination of, well, there's got to be something else out there? Why do we care so much?
I think for the thousands of years, humans have wondered, are we alone? I mean, there are different cultures that have had multiple gods and tried to explain things, and we just want to know, are we the only ones in this massive universe? I mean, our solar system's small. I didn't tell you, this planet that they're talking about, K2, 18b, it's 120 light years away. So it's our brains. We want to know, Steve.
Okay, well, don't get snappy or snippy. I mean, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I want to know. You know me. I'm pro space. I'm pro alien.
You are.
And what else are you covering? Look, this is not a silly story. It's a legitimate story. But what else are you covering?
Well, we've been looking a little bit at the Boeing and the plug door problem, and they've had continuing problems. I thought it was very interesting. Scott Kirby, the head of United Airlines, this morning, as they released earnings, was asked about the problems with Boeing, and he said he's very disappointed with the MAX and now these new investigations of the 9ERs that they're looking at. And he was finally asked, what is a problem? And this is what some in the media and books have been written about this. What happened to Boeing? And he pointed out, and I asked the former CEO about this several years ago, the merger with McDonnell Douglas back in the day when Boeing and McDonnell Douglas came together. A couple of the next CEOs were McDonnell Douglas types. And it was it's a very different culture, and the culture of Boeing has changed a bit. So we're looking at that. And then I just posted the other day, is the interest in EVs waning? We've heard about GM and Ford pulling back a little bit.
Yep.
But what are they pulling back from? They're pulling back from their expectations, their predictions of what sales of EVs would be like. I mean, sales were up last year. They're going to be up this year. Something's definitely happening there. It sounds like they didn't quite get the bullseye right. They didn't get the target right. And that's why we're seeing the pullbacks. But the folks that follow this stuff closely in the statistics suggest this may be kind of a pause year. They only see 20% increase in sales this year, but they expect much more robust sales in 25 and 26 with less expensive models coming online in 25 and 26. And that's been a problem. I mean, when you can't get into an electric vehicle for less than $50,000,
it's an issue. Yeah, the money is an issue, and also the issue is if it gets too cold, it dies.
And
that's an issue.
Stations,
and the charging stations, right? There's too long lines.
So
it's I see this as we're in a transition. It's a bumpy road, chicken and egg. It's never going to be smooth. I don't think it was smooth when the car came, and
it's not going to happen.
Give up their horses, and
not going to happen on a politician's calendar either. Read about it in the Full Throttle newsletter. It's on Substack. How do I get it again?
It's David Kerley, Kerley. One word. By the way, my joke about the Kerleys, right?
Mm-mm.
We came in 1638.
Okay.
And the Curleys came later, but they had more babies.
Oh, those creeps. It's unbelievable.
DavidKerley.substack.com.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much.